So Claude already remembers things about you between conversations, such as your name, your job, and your preferences, which is great. But if you're using Claude for multiple areas of your work, such as client stuff, finances, content, whatever, it's just piling up all of this context into one big stream with no real structure. And projects fix that. So in the next 5 minutes, I'm going to show you what a project actually is, why it matters for your work, and we're going to build one together from scratch. All right, so I'm going to explain at a high level what the difference between Claude Chat is and Claude Projects. So without Claude Projects, you're basically just using chat to ask Claude questions, provide it all the context that you might have regarding that question, and all of that context kind of just builds up into one pile. So in one chat, you may ask Claude to help you with drafting a client proposal. In another chat, you may ask it to help with writing a LinkedIn post, prep for some client call, asking it questions about your taxes, drafting a newsletter, coming up with a scope of work for a potential new client, and drafting emails for invoices. And what you see is that there is not a dedicated workspace for each of these ideas and each of these tasks that you're having it do. There's no specific rules per the workspace. So if you wanted to, draft your client proposal with a specific warm conversational tone, but if you have any questions, like legal questions, you might want the tone to change to maybe be more firmer, something that's more clear and straightforward. All of that context is jumbled up into one pile, and the context just kind of gets diluted over time. So the big issue with using Claude Chat for everything is that Claude has to kind of guess each time what you may need for that task and where the memory should, how heavy should they weight the memory from previous chats into that new context and that new chat. Now with projects, what you see is that there is a lot of context that is relevant to that specific task or that specific area in your domain. So you could have a project just for clients where you're able to have it focus on client briefs, past proposals, scope of work templates, and you can provide it instructions on tone and say, hey, I want you to be concise, use my proposal template when I'm generating new proposals, and use a professional tone. So you can help this across different chats within this project, such as prepping calls, writing scope of work, drafting proposals, and that framework can be applied to any domain that you create a project for. So that domain could be your business finances, your personal finances, your content system if you have like a business that needs to do marketing, and that same framework holds. So I can provide instructions and context to that area and that domain. I can upload PDFs, CSVs, anything that helps build the context and narrative around what we're trying to build and do for that domain. So finances could be, I upload my bank statements, I can upload a business overview document of what I want this domain to look like and how I want Claude to answer questions about that domain. And I could start a chat for monthly summaries, tax prep, invoice tracking. And as you can see, all of that context is just built into that workspace. These lines essentially are boundaries that don't get crossed between domains, which is amazing. So these workspaces are contained, they have their own files, their own rules, their own conversations, and nothing bleeds through across domains. All right, let's jump in and create a new project. All right, so I'm gonna build a project right now, and this is something I would actually use for my actual business. So I'm over here in the project section of the Claude.ai desktop app, and the way I got here was there's a sidebar here. You just go to projects. I'm gonna close the sidebar now, and I'm gonna hit new project, and we're gonna call this business finances. And what we're trying to achieve is tracking expenses, categorizing spending, generating reports for my accountant. I'm going to create a project, And now I want to add some files to give it some context. So what we're going to do is add some files. I have them in my project here, and I'll share all of this with you so you can follow along. Let's go to Claude project files. So I have my business overview and a markdown file and my last quarterly bank statement. And this is all sample data, not my real business finances. But this is just to give you an idea of what you can expect when you go through this workflow. So we're going to upload these documents. And we're also going to add some custom instructions. I'm going to share this with you as well. Basically, I want it to follow these instructions with the context. When I start my chats, it'll have this context, and hopefully it'll follow these rules essentially. The instructions are just saying, hey, here are some guidelines that I need you to follow, things to look out for. So I'm going to put that here. So basically I say, hey, you help me manage my business finances. When I upload bank statements, categorize every transaction using the categories in my business overview document, flag anything over $500, keep responses concise, have bullet points and not paragraphs. So I'm going to save instructions. Okay. And now I'm going to start a chat. Basically I'm going to say, summarize my spending from this bank statement. I'm not solving for rocket science here. So I'm just going to say, let's use our Sonnet 4.6 model. And we're just going to hit go and see what happens. So it's reading the files and it's going to hopefully remember our context. And let's see what happens. All right, so this is looking promising. It's showing the revenue, expenses by categories, and it is following instructions. So this is really awesome. Yeah, this is looking really good. It has the red flags, which is what we asked it to flag. And yeah, this is looking great. Flags for Rachel. Yeah, this is looking pretty good. So this just shows you the power of projects. This is basically a contained workspace where you can provide specific instructions for the project that you're working on. Pretty straightforward. And yeah, this is awesome. And it's all contained. So there's no extra context from previous chats and different discussions that's being brought into this workspace. So yeah, that's projects. So with Claude projects, you're giving Claude exactly the right context for exactly the right task. And every time automatically it knows what to look for and how to solve your problem. So if you only do one thing after this video, create your own project, add some files, use some instructions, and you'll feel the difference immediately. I hope you found this video valuable. If you want to see the exact project setup that I use for my own work, the files, the instructions, all of it, I share everything inside of my free community. The link's in the description. Hope to see you there.